Nader Hashemi is joining us live now from Washington, an associate professor of Middle East politics at Georgetown University. Nader, thank you very much for your time. We've heard several press briefings coming from Washington this evening, and now President Joe Biden's speaking. What updates can you bring us from the US, please?
Well, I think the United States right now is trying to calculate what its next move will be. I think it's caught between, on the one hand, trying to support Israel strongly, at the same time trying to prevent a regional escalation. But in many ways, the United States is sort of the author of its own dilemma here, because up until now, since this phase of the Israel-Palestine conflict began on October the 7th, it effectively has given Israel a blank check, freedom to do whatever it wants, bringing this to this point where it looks like we're on the edge of a major Middle Eastern war. So I suspect right now there's a lot of confusion on what to do next, how to sort of contain this, but at the same time demonstrate that the United States is still on the side of Israel. I think that's the dilemma of the Biden administration.
It certainly does seem like a dilemma, and also the US has various times now called for a de-escalation. But is it fair to say that Washington appears to be more or less powerless, even as the #1 ally to Israel, when it comes to trying to convince Tel Aviv to de-escalate?
No, that's an argument that you sometimes hear. I don't buy it for 1 second. The United States is a major power. It's Israel's biggest backer. At any moment, it can rein Israel in by simply saying it's not going to send Israel any more missiles. It's not going to protect Israel, at the UN Security Council. The United States has an immense amount of leverage. It chooses not to use it for reasons that we can debate. I think part of the problem now for the Biden administration is that we are roughly 40 days away from the next presidential election. And the Biden administration and the ruling elites in the Democratic Party are extremely pro-Israel. I would say they're even fanatically pro-Israel, and they don't want to be seen as not being sufficiently pro-Israel because they feel that their pro-Israel donors and backers and supporters won't vote for them and support them. So this is the dilemma that the Biden administration has. But if it wanted to rein this in, it certainly has the leverage. It just chooses not to do so.
Well, on that, Nader, it's the vice presidential debate later tonight over there in the US. Will the situation in the Middle East come up during that debate? And what's the stance of both candidates, and how much will it affect them?
I'm sure it will come up because this is a major global story where the United States is deeply invested. I'm willing to, bet a lot of money that the exchange between the two candidates will be who can demonstrate that they are more pro-Israel than the other. That's what the debate is going to revolve around. There will be no attention or consideration for Palestinian life, for regional security considerations, and certainly not for international law. That will be the back and forth. And I predict that J.D. Vance, the Republican candidate, will clobber and severely attack Kamala Harris and blame her for not being, fanatically pro-Israel. That's how the back and forth is going to take place. And that's really a reflection of the political debate here in Washington, D.C. It's about, who can demonstrate their bona fides in terms of their allegiance and support for Israel, what the Palestinians want or deserve, and certainly what international law requires will not be part of the vice presidential debate tonight.